Hello, everybody. My name is Mickey. This is the MIKKIMANIA podcast. On this podcast, I will be bringing you as much information you would like on professional wrestling. It's pretty much all it's going to be about. So if you're not interested, I understand. You might as well click out of the video. Just get it over with. I appreciate the view. At least like and subscribe just for the hell of it. It would be much appreciated. It's been a long time coming doing this. A year ago, as of from Saturday, I had made an announcement that I was going to start a wrestling podcast. And life kind of just, took its toll. I had a lot of things happen. I lost a friend. Started a journey to lose weight. Was gifted this microphone in June, and clearly did not do anything for 6 months after getting it. And as time passed on, I had lost my mother. And then after that, a week later after that, I had my second child. And so life kind of, took its time, its turn. It took a turn on me. So I wasn't sure how I was going to bounce back and find myself again. But last Monday, something clicked and I just started, going at it and making videos, editing, which some of you may have watched on my Instagram stories and Facebook story, reels that I shared of my introducing my podcast back and trying to bring it to life like I wanted to last year. I'm hoping with this podcast I can bring you all the excitement and craziness that the world of professional wrestling brings. At some point I will have guests, just not too soon. I still want to get used to this. I'm not very used to sitting in front of a camera with myself and a microphone. I've been a part of other podcasts before, which I thought would make this easier for me, but it is not. Saturday was the Royal Rumble. We're just going to jump right into it. A good Royal Rumble. It wasn't the best as a total show. We had only 4 matches on the card, which lately WWE has been shortening their pay-per-views. Less matches. Honestly, it's okay. I think it kind of helps a little bit. Less nonsense inside of a pay-per-view. That's usually 3 hours anyways. The first match of that night was the Women's Royal Rumble. We had a few appearances that some of us did not expect. Naomi was number 2, entry number 2 for the Royal Rumble. She had just finished up her time in TNA, as she was a TNA World Champion or Knockouts Champion over there. Made a farewell speech, and it was kind of clear and obvious that she was done, was going to go somewhere else. And sure enough, back to the WWE she goes. We had a few other. I think we had Jordynne Grace, also another TNA superstar. She showed up in the Rumble as well. The newly added Jade Cargill debuted at the Royal Rumble as well. We had some good little run-ins with her. Her and Bianca had a little run-in, which the crowd did get involved and were pretty excited about that little face-off they had. Overall, the match started off slightly slow, but progressed. And the winner of that match ended up being Bayley. She entered at number 3. Well deserved, I'd say. She deserves it. She's had a lot of things happen since she's returned at SummerSlam. Started Damage Control. Damage Control were starting to seem like they're going to turn on her once they had brought Asuka back in, or Asuka in, so that for the Kabuki Warriors, with her and Ito Sky and all them, part of that group. Most likely, her winning the Royal Rumble is going to end up either getting Bayley kicked out. Her only 2 options for championship-wise, the challenge is Rhea Ripley or Ito Sky, which Ito Sky is a part of Damage Control, so you already know how that's going to go about. It's going to cause some friction. I say about mid-February that they turn on her, or Bayley, attacks Ito at some point randomly. It can go either or. The best way I think they should go about it is have Damage Control just turn on Bayley, because once that time comes for WrestleMania and they have their main event match for the Women's Championship, it'll make it a little more impactful, knowing that there's some big beef between all of them. Bayley might need backup for that match just in case Damage Control gets involved. But yeah, overall decent. I gave the Women's Royal Rumble probably 3 out of 5. I'd say about a 3 out of 5. Wasn't too bad. The right person won. So there's that first match. The second match of the night was the Fatal 4-Way match for the WWE Undisputed Championship, which is held by Roman Reigns. The other 3 competitors were LA Knight, AJ Styles, and Randy Orton. Overall, the match was good. It could have used a few more false finishes. The spots were great. There was nothing wrong with the spots. All the spots were pretty well done. There was a spot at one point where, Roman stacked bodies during his WrestleMania match against Daniel Bryan and Edge. They were leading to the point where they were stacking the bodies. They had Randy on the bottom, and then they grabbed AJ Styles and put it on not AJ Styles, I'm sorry. LA Knight. They had placed LA Knight on top of Randy Orton, and Roman was looking for AJ Styles. They were looking for him to put him on top of LA Knight so Roman could pin him and stack him like he did at WrestleMania. Didn't end up happening. It was a pretty interesting spot. AJ Styles comes from the corner of the turnbuckle, hits a flying elbow, flying forearm. I apologize. Knocks Roman directly onto Randy and LA Knight. Goes for the pin. Randy kicks out from the bottom. I ain't never seen anything like that. I've never seen even a slight false finish similar to that. But overall, I still feel like the match could have used a little more of something to it, which I would just say false finishes to make us, jump and, think that Roman's going to lose his championship, which he's held now. I think he's the 4th longest person to hold that championship. But yeah, I wasn't surprised by that match. Roman's definitely carrying that championship all the way into WrestleMania. Will he lose it at WrestleMania? We'll get into that later. For our third match of the night, we had the Men's Royal Rumble. It wasn't too bad. Oh, I'm sorry. Not the Men's Royal Rumble. I apologize. Scratch that. Take that back. It was Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul for the United States Championship. Logan Paul is the United States Champion. I don't know what else we could say about that guy. I know a lot of people hate Logan Paul. They can't stand him because he came from the outside of the professional wrestling world. They feel like he doesn't belong there, which I understand and I get. But every time this man gets in the ring, man, he just shows that he belongs in there and improves every single time he has a match. And never fails, honestly. Never fails to put on a good match since his start with his tag team match he had with The Miz against the Mysterios. And ever since then, he's just progressed. He's just gotten better. And I think he's going to continue to get better. But let's get into this match with Kevin Owens. Very high pace, great spots. Again, Logan Paul just makes everything look really fucking good. He just does. No better person to have, him tangle with in the ring than Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is just a bona fide stud, man. He's a prize fighter. He's everything, man. He brings it every single time he has a match. He always brings it. Kevin Owens always brings his A game. The match ended in a way that not many people would care for, which was a disqualification. Logan, at some point, was going to be given brass knuckles by the same person that gave him brass knuckles during Crown Jewel when he beat Rey Mysterio for the the United States Championship, and that didn't go well. That guy ended up getting, I think, ejected. I had looked away for a minute when I was watching that match, and Logan did end up with the brass knuckles, but when he went to go for it, he missed. Kevin ends up with the brass knuckles on, rocks Logan clean, goes for the pin. As he's going for the pin, 1, 2, the ref notices that Kevin Owens has the brass knuckles on his hand, and from there on, disqualification. Kevin Owens loses. Logan Paul retains. And it's most likely going to set up for another match at the Chamber. That most likely would be the mid-card titles for that event, Elimination Chamber, will most likely be an Elimination Chamber match. Roman Reigns is not scheduled or slated to be there. Seth Rollins is currently injured. We won't probably see him until Mania. So they need big matches to be put on in Australia. So they need big time matches to fulfill this card. Without their 2 top stars not going to be there, Roman has no excuse. Seth Rollins does. But that's in the future. We'll see how that goes. Next is the Men's Royal Rumble match. My pick of the match did not win, which we will get into that. There was no big surprises, really, besides some NXT call-ups. We really have no legends, none of that. Just all straight superstars from the roster, no one from TNA. But overall, the Royal Rumble match wasn't that bad. Again, slow moments. Usually that's how Royal Rumble matches are. It's pretty slow. But it picked up. I had made a prediction of who the final 4 were going to be in that match. And I had picked Gunther, Drew, Punk, and Cody. And all 4 of them ended up being the last ones. Cody ends up eliminating Gunther. And Punk ends up eliminating Drew, leaving Cody and Punk as the final 2 participants in the Royal Rumble. A lot of people going into this Rumble, most of us assumed that Punk would win due to the fact that he wants to be the main event of WrestleMania. That's the whole reason why he came back, is to be the main event of WrestleMania. He left years ago because his main event match got taken from him from Rock and Cena. So in my mind, I was like, okay, Punk's going to win the Royal Rumble. Well, WWE threw us for a damn loop. And right before Punk got eliminated, he shouts out that I did not wait 10 years to get beat by Dusty's son. And then proceeded to get eliminated. I'm not sure where Punk's story goes from here. I do know that he was looking forward to facing Seth Rollins for that World Heavyweight Championship, which I still believe will happen. It's just going to take some time, and it's going to take a lot of obstacles for him to get to that situation. He may have to win some contender matches. He may have to win a chamber match to get the number one contender match. So that's where his story is going to end up aligning. And as for earlier, Roman going into WrestleMania as a champion still after his win against the other three competitors, Cody wins the Royal Rumble back-to-back years, first time done in 26 years since Stone Cold Steve Austin. So now Cody gets to finish his story and fulfill his destiny, which was be the first WWE World Heavyweight Champion, or undisputed champion, I guess. It doesn't really matter, but no one in his family has ever held that title, and he's going to be the first. He's going to finish his story at WrestleMania 40, and that's the way I see it. I'd put some damn money on it, because there ain't no reason why you have Cody win the Royal Rumble to not have him go finish his story at WrestleMania. It would just not make any sense. It would be a very bold move by WWE to just have Roman go over again at WrestleMania. I know a lot of people were probably assuming they're trying to have him hold that title until, I believe it's September, to where he beats Hogan's record as the second longest. After that, he's got to go get to Bruno Sammartino, which is a longer streak of a longer title reign. So who knows how that's going to work, but I don't see it happening. Cody will most likely be dethroning the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. But we have another issue along the line with that. The Rock had came back not too long ago and mentioned that he's the head of the table. So we're, looking to getting Roman Reigns versus The Rock is what, a big dream match has been talked about. It was even like a little hint of it was in the Rock show, Young Rock. They even mentioned it in there, Roman Reigns saying only a match that big could happen at WrestleMania. So hopefully that doesn't mess up Cody's plans of being champ and, finishing his story. If push comes to shove, a triple threat match between Cody, Roman, and The Rock would work out just fine. You could have Cody pin The Rock to save Roman from, not looking weak, keeping him look strong, continuing into the next, the rest of the year. So it's not like he's losing much, momentum at all, besides losing his championship. But I'm hoping that does not happen. I'm hoping we just get Roman and Cody for the main event, night 2 for the championship, and I do see Cody winning it. As for the other Royal Rumble winners, the other Royal Rumble winner, Bayley, I do see her, like I said, going and facing Io Sky and taking the title off of her as well. That pretty much concludes the recap of the Royal Rumble. Tonight is Monday Night Raw. I will be possibly recording another episode Sunday, towards the end of the week, once all the wrestling news has come out. There's plenty of other wrestling things to talk about. I know a lot of people know about the Vince McMahon allegations going on. I will not get into that right now. That is too much to talk about and get into. I just don't have room for that right now. I didn't want to make this video too long. I actually made a video originally for this, but the audio was messed up. So here I am doing this for a second time, which is okay. I'm not bothered by it. I'm actually satisfied with how this episode has gone so far, and I hope you as well have enjoyed it. You're not bored to death. you're at least intrigued about what's going to happen in the future with this podcast. Also, for anybody that wants to be a part of this podcast, if you love wrestling as much as I do, feel free to message me. I'll have all my information for my Instagram, my Facebook, so you could, get a hold of me to, hop on. For all my local people, mostly. Anyone that sees this that's not local and doesn't know who I am, you're never going to get on my show because I don't know you. But for my people that are local, keep an eye out and let me know what you want to do. I'm going to leave this episode with my top 5 wrestlers of all time. Which is sometimes it's pretty hard for a lot of people. It's challenging. Sometimes you can, you got one in there and you take them out. You want to replace one of them because you're not too sure. It happens. I'll start with number 5. Number 5 for me is Bray Wyatt. Rest in peace to him. He was one of my favorites for this current generation. I feel like he was very misunderstood, underappreciated while he was here. A lot of people trashed him for his Fiend gimmick, Firefly House gimmick, and then proceeded to try to give him flowers after his passing, which is despicable, honestly. It's fucking sad that people want to all of a sudden care. But that's the way people are. But yeah, for him, he's my number 5. He's been impactful in my life. He's so creative. The promo that I had put together, the video package I had put together, a lot of inspiration came from his work and what he's done in his vignettes and promos. It just felt right to just, I won't say steal a little bit of his aura and what he does and what he brings, but he's truly inspired me quite a bit in my life. There's a thing that he said in one of his promos, that patience is a virtue, but in my estimation, it's a lost art. And I've always followed by that, as patience is a virtue. It's always stuck with me, and it's helped me understand life a little bit better and be more patient with myself. And we're going to move on to number 4, CM Punk. Changed the game for me in 2006 whenever I first saw him pop up on ECW, the WWE version. He's something about him. He was a punk, no pun intended. He just gave off I'm a misfit vibe. I felt like I was that as well. Drug free, all the alcohol free. I was all that. At one point, but eventually we all grow up and do stupid shit. But I still looked up to CM Punk regardless. Another person when it came to promos, I could sit there and just listen to that dude talk all day. He just brought it. He just always brought it. Always on his A game. For him to be on my list, it's pretty important because there's a lot of other wrestlers that a lot of other people would, replace Punk with. They would put Bret Hart, they would put Hogan, they would put other people like that. But this is my list, and in my mind and in my estimation, CM Punk's better than a lot of those guys. Don't get offended by that. That's just how I feel. But you're more than welcome to get on the podcast and defend yourself or defend my answer. I would defend it, but go against my answer. Number 3 is Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's probably the greatest wrestler of all time, or superstar, whatever. I know there's categories for wrestler, best talker, all those things. But Stone Cold he's the most well-known. Everybody at this point in their life should know who Stone Cold Steve Austin is. I shouldn't have to go into detail why he's top 3. I really shouldn't, and I'm not going to because you should know already. So we're going to move on to number 2. Number 2 for me is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Best in-ring performer of all time. I don't care what anybody says. As shitty as his attitude was back in the 90s, if it wasn't for that, we would have never got any of those Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels classic matches. One of the first matches I ever seeing or remembering was Bret and Shawn WrestleMania 12 Iron Man match. Probably is what made me want to become a professional wrestler, honestly. It inspired me. The boyhood dream coming true. You know, that's what I had wanted, you know, to live what he did and do what he did. And he brought it every single night he wrestled, man. Every single night. He's back problems and all, fought through everything. Drug addiction, changed his life in 2002 when he came back. Gave himself to God, became a different man, and glad that happened, because with a superstar as great as he was, it would have been sad to see him have a downfall like past wrestlers have had when it came to drugs and just bad attitude. But thankfully, we got a good career out of him, and he ended up being, like I said, the greatest in-ring performer of all time. And last but not least, The Undertaker. There shouldn't even be much to say about this man as well, but I'm going to go into as many details as I can. He's always been my favorite since the beginning, man. Like, over Shawn, over Taker, over everybody, man. I mean, over Taker, over Stone Cold, all of them. Like, there's no one that's been able to reinvent themselves, unless Chris Jericho, you want to mention him, but reinvent themselves as the character he was and still be important and still be a fan favorite all these years later, from the beginning of 1990 when he debuted at Survivor Series to what he is now. There's no one in this world that doesn't even know who The Undertaker is. Like, a lot of people should know by now who The Undertaker is. Same thing with Stone Cold. He's so captivating. Probably the greatest entrance of all time in professional wrestling. It didn't get really any better. I was blessed to have met The Undertaker in 2014. I've been to 3 WrestleManias and seen him in all of them, except for the last one he didn't perform. He was part of the Hall of Fame, and so he was put into the Hall of Fame that year. But yeah, that's it. That's a wrap. I appreciate y'all listening and taking the time to listen. It's been a long time coming. And to all the people that supported me in the beginning of this, when I originally said I was going to start this, if you're still there, I appreciate it, and I'm sorry. But more importantly, I'm sorry to myself for not giving the effort that I should have done that whole year. So yeah, this is MIKKIMANIA, and I hope to keep entertaining y'all with some good wrestling knowledge. Thank you.